Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is experienced and fun conversationalist, no other than Mr. Jason Connell.
Yes. How are you doing, Dan? It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Jason. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am a documentary filmmaker. I made 10 award-winning docs, but then pivoted to becoming a podcaster 6 years ago. I'm based in Los Angeles, California. I wasn't born here. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I call LA home now after 20 years.
Mr. Jason Connell, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Let's empower podcaster itself. And today, let's talk about one of your favorite book by Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. So can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say like Arnold's my favorite actor or anything like that, but in 2013, I came across this biography that he had just put out, Total Recall. Very fitting name because it's one of his movies, of course. And the subtitle is My Unbelievably True Life Story. And I read it and I could not put this thing down, Daniel, because it's more about being triumphant and overcoming any and every obstacle to achieve what you believe you can achieve. And so that I found just such connectivity between just the lessons he had gone through from being just a nobody from, Austria to changing his body and competing and winning Mr. Olympians, and then coming to the United States and no one taking him serious, and becoming obviously a household name despite all the obstacles against him. So it was really that story that I found just so inspiring, because every pillar in my career was faced with nothing but adversity, and I just had to dig in and just knock down walls essentially. So I read this book a second time many years later as I was, starting my new venture. And so I don't very often read a book a second time, a biography that is. and so that's why it stands out as not my top, but one of my more inspiring books.
One of your inspiring book for sure. What's most about his relationship with his father, and how do you think it influenced his career choices?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to unpack. Since this book came out, there's a documentary on Netflix, a 3-part series about him. So a lot more people may know his story now, a wider, mass of people. But yeah, him and his father and his mother, their dynamics were interesting and complicated. And I did not share in that. I had a very loving upbringing. So I wouldn't say like, oh, my life's just like Arnold's. No, I mean, I know your question though being how did it influence him? I think it drove him. I think it drove him to exceed at all levels and obviously surpass his brother in a lot of ways. And he just was a fighter, and he was going to take any fight head on, and it probably toughened him up. Right. So that's how I think he came. Obviously, he's changed and evolved since then. But I think that had so much to do with who he became as a man.
Mr. Jason, how did the book frame his transition from bodybuilding to Hollywood, and then was shift this convincing to you?
Well, I mean, again, I grew up as an athlete. So I played so many sports growing up. So I understand, not that I became a bodybuilder, that was not one of my my sports, but I understand like the 10,000 hours, the Malcolm Gladwell. I understand practice and reps, and over time you will have progression. So in Arnold's case, he saw he was getting, immediately, he's getting results from his body. So I think he learned the harder I work, no one can outwork me. He obviously is very competitive, and he saw results, and he probably appreciated the attention he was getting. So I think that helped build such like a core in him, a strong core and a belief system in himself. So, and then when you go on and win awards and such, and like Joe Weider is offering him things, and these things are starting to happen in his life, and he's getting opportunities, I think that was probably a bigger challenge than him becoming an actor. Now, for him to learn English and become a huge action star, along with Sylvester Stallone, yeah, that took a whole other level. But I think that belief system had a lot to do with that. I think one led to the other. I don't think he just would have become an actor. I think he had people gawked at him. He got a lot of attention. He's very charismatic. There's so many things that play with him. He's not just a stiff Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren type. He's really charming. And I think there's just so many of those pieces at play that make Arnold special.
What do you think was the greatest obstacle when entering politics, and how did he navigate it?
Yeah, I don't really get into the politics of things, but that's a slippery slope out here. And he was governor, I think, right when I was coming to LA. I think it was kind of finishing his time. I'll be honest, Daniel, I followed that less. I was moving cross country. I was delving into my career. I don't know enough about his politics to really speak fluently about it. But I know that I think he's proud of some of the things he did. And of course, I think everyone walks away with perspective like, well, probably could have done that better, this better. There's ego. Politics is a whole other thing. And so,
Yes.
it's very complicated. Movies and that such, easier to dissect. But yeah, I don't have too much more on that front.
Indeed. So, how would you consider his most significant accomplishment, and why does it stand out?
Well, he's an immigrant who came here, and I don't know if there's many people that could have done what he's done. I mean, Elon Musk, okay, these people who they come here, they're not even American citizens, and they just raise the bar. Schwarzenegger
Yes.
raised the bar in so many ways. And, if it wasn't for Schwarzenegger, Stallone's probably not as big, and action figures and action movies to follow. And he's left us with a legacy of great cinema. And he's a fixture to this day. He was really into fitness program, and he had a big hand in that, I think, back in the day with the president endorsing him, the president at the time. But I think that's it's just, if you want to be inspired, here's someone who had everything stacked against him, and he overcame every obstacle.
Indeed, a legendary icon in the movie industry as well in
Yes.
politics. How did he manage to Maria's impact his public persona and personal growth?
Well, he
As
married into the Kennedy family, which is kind of amazing.
what do you
And it's like,
expect?
wow. Yeah. And then he becomes a Republican, but whatever. But yeah, I grew up loving Maria Shriver from, like, I think it was the Today Show or one of those morning shows. And I was shocked when they got together. And of course, we all kind of know how it flamed out in a way. That's the dark tales of Arnold. No one's perfect, right? No one's
Yes.
perfect. But I think it had a huge impact. I mean, if it wasn't for Maria, does he have ambitions to get into politics? I don't know. I'd probably venture to say no. He was doing so many other things with Hard Rock cafes or what was the other spinoff of that? The other restaurant with all the memorabilia that they have, that he was really involved in those types of things. So I don't think so. I think she really impacted, making a bigger impact beyond just the movies. And so I think it absolutely did, getting involved in the environment and everything else beyond just yourself.
Yes. How does he address the personal scandals in the memoir?
Mm.
Did his transparency or approach surprise you?
Well, and I have not read the book too recently, Daniel, but I obviously loved it. The documentary gets more into that because it was later. That documentary just came out like a couple years ago. So, but he does not hide behind things in the book or in the documentary. He's incredibly transparent. I think it's okay to share that you made mistakes, and he doesn't try to hide from it. He
Yes.
admits those mistakes. And I don't even know, speaking personally, how him and Maria are today. I think I read somewhere they have a relationship, or, it's not as contentious, but they're not married anymore, or at least not living together. But I do appreciate the fact that he owned up to it. America and the world as a whole, I think we can forgive if people admit to what they did. And, he's in the public eye, so people have opinions. But yeah, he definitely was very transparent. But again, the book, I think some of that stuff hadn't come out yet in 2013, or maybe some of it had, but I don't think he's afraid to share anything if asked by anyone.
For sure. Which mentors mentioned in the story do you believe had the deepest impact on his trajectory?
Well, I know his family was a huge thing. I know meeting Joe Weider had a huge impact. Learning the business, someone endorsing you, coming to the United States. I know his friendship with Frank Colombo was enormous, maybe as big as they come. Him and they're doing construction. They're buying real estate in Santa Monica in the 70s, which is just blows my mind. He's such a great businessman too. I definitely cling on to that. It's by no mistake is he incredibly successful. His relationship with James Cameron, obviously, like he hit these people along the way that helped take him to that next stratosphere. And so mentors or not, but I know collaborators, they were huge for him. And I'm sure the Kennedys, whoever he leaned into at that point in time when he first met Maria, I think, he seems like he would glean all the information. He would almost suck information from people and then feel comfortable in a new space and go to the next level. So I think that's kind of what my takeaway was anyway with those people I mentioned.
Very well said, Mr. Jason. Very well said. What do you think? What strategies or traits allowed him to excel in bodybuilding or acting and politics?
I mean, just like I said in the beginning, I think he realized quickly that he could control his own effort. And I really admire that because some people, if that's not instilled in you, maybe his dad was so hard on him and he realized I've got to outwork my brother or my father's own expectations of me. But he knew I can control that. And as an athlete, I admire that so very much because I played in team sports and you could recognize someone who's putting the work in and someone who's not. And so as an athlete, I do identify with him saying that. So I think it was belief in self, putting in the time, paid off in results. Because you could put in the time as a writer, but no one's reading your stuff and no one's seeing your scripts and you might second guess yourself. But he was a bodybuilder. So he's getting immediate gratification. Others are saying, wow, yeah, you've got the right frame. You're doing well. Keep going. So I think that really fed his ego and his confidence. And I think he just took that mindset to the movie industry. And he had to have luck, Daniel. He had to have some things swing his way, I mean, I know he's in some silly movies at first, like Hercules Goes Bananas, and they may have even dubbed his voice. It was just so bad. So, but I think he knew I have to make my English better if I'm going to get a speaking role beyond like Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, which are great films, but John Milius, but he had to progress beyond that. I also love when he talks about how, I think it was a college professor said that no one's ever going to be able to pronounce your name. And I think he took that as like, all right, I'll show him and everybody else. And of course, Schwarzenegger is a household name. But who would have thought in the 70s, like, this guy, he's crazy. So I think he definitely leaned into that as a competitor and used it as fuel. And then, of course, that propelled him to politics. Like, you'll never be governor. Well, why not check off that box? It was a weird time. It was a wide open race, and he entered and he won.
Yes, I got it. It's sad. How does the book portray his response to setbacks? Did any examples inspire you?
I mean, absolutely. You don't just win. You don't even just get invited to Mr. Olympia if you're not like great and putting in the time. And not only is he invited, he goes back and wins it like 7 times and setbacks along the way. Like it's hard to be the top dog in anything.
Yes.
Most teams or people lose that will, like, I've already got it. I'm hanging on not to lose rather than pushing forward. And for him to come back time after time, it's not easy mentally, physically. Your body probably wants to go on autopilot. So I don't know if that was a setback, but it was a motivator, and very impressive to see that he bowed out on his own terms. I'm now going to segue out of this. If you lose the love for something, it's probably time to move on. And in movies, it's not like he didn't have some bad movies in there. I'm a huge Arnold fan, but I always tell people one of the worst movies I've ever seen is The Last Action Hero. And I'm not a hater of movies, a basher, but I walked out on it. I cannot finish it. I just do not connect with that movie at all, and nor did the box office. But it didn't slow him down. You take one on the chin, you come back, and you make a bigger movie after that. So I think he has that resiliency, and that's what you need. That's what you need. You've got to believe in yourself more than anyone else believes in you. And then beyond that, you need other people who do believe in you, but you've got to be your own driver.
And show yourself that you
can
do it.
Yes.
Mr. Jason, how has his philosophy on health and fitness changed over time based on his reflections?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, he was definitely getting involved with like working out and kids. He was a good like face for fitness, right?
Yes,
When he broke on the scene. Not that everyone needs to be a bodybuilder. That's not it. It's just almost proving what you can do with your body. I think he's shifted away from that. I think he's looking more of a sustainable health now. And obviously that's never left him. Once you have that in your DNA, you're probably driven to feel the pump and the juice. And by the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the documentary Pumping Iron was just extraordinary and worth a visit if you want to see young Arnold, back in those days in the 70s, going to Muscle Beach and Venice and pumping iron. But yeah, I think he still absolutely still epitomizes fitness, but it's evolved. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into steroids or anything like that, but I don't think he's no longer trying to beef up. It's more about sustainable health and long lasting, living a good, healthy life.
What piece of advice from the book would you consider adopting in your own life?
Oh, I already have. I mean, it's really just it's having that resiliency, the heart and desire of a warrior and being very laser focused. He is and was laser focused. I want to do this and everything has to be towards that. You can't say, I want to do this and then I want to do that. It's really just linear. He didn't try to be a movie star first. He tried to become a name, a brand. And then he leveraged that into a movie career and then a long movie career, which is still ongoing, and then decided to get into politics. So I think you have to be laser focused, and I'm taking that away and overcoming any and every obstacle. Look at them as challenges that are leading you to success.
Indeed. Mr. Jason, as a podcast host and experienced and fun conversationalist, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Well, much like Arnold, I am going to compete in Mr. Olympia. No, I'm just kidding. I am. I do work out all the time, but I'm not trying to become a beefcake. I started this company 6 years ago, and I'm very proud of it. I left documentary filmmaking. I made 10 great docs. I was so proud of that too. But this is more of a lifestyle for me. I'm now producing various shows of various subject matters, talking to amazing people like yourself, although the tables are flipped here. I'm the guest, you're the host, which is fun. I love this juxtaposition for me, but it's a sustainable growth. I really want to do this as long as my body and mind are able. So I have a long trajectory, and my short-term goal is to continue to grow this company and make it sustainable. We're bringing on clients now. We're helping people launch their own podcast while we're doing our own original shows. And I want to become just a voice and a fixture in this industry.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Jason, and looking forward for your success. Which of his charitable initiative or causes discussed in the book impress you and why?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that, Daniel. Could you repeat that?
Charitable initiatives of Mr. Arnold that you impress.
Yeah, I mean, he was always giving back, and none are really coming to mind beyond his involvement in the fitness. I think he was like in youth fitness. He was like an ambassador. I mean, I remember that vividly when I
Hmm.
was younger. Like, wow, Arnold's really the face of it. And I was a huge fan. So I think that really impressed me and had a huge impression on me and my peers at the time. And I'm sure he wasn't even getting paid for that. It was just like, kids should be working out, fitness, nutrition. It was really big. And he was one of the first people that ever put that on the radar for me. So I know that was a huge thing. I'm sure he does so much more, Daniel, that I'm not even aware of. But that's one absolute that I recall.
How does his political leadership style compare to his approach in bodybuilding or acting?
I don't know if it differs too much, honestly. I mean, I don't know if he changes his stripes. Not that I don't think he's a drill sergeant, but I think he gets a goal, and he probably had some things on his hit list to accomplish in his political office and probably work towards that. And politics are tricky, as we all
Yes.
know. You can have the great agenda, and it never may come to fruition because of so many factors. But I'd love to be a fly on the wall in one of his meetings. I'm sure Arnold had like, I want to do this, I want to do this while I'm here, do this. And even if you can't accomplish it, I think that's the mindset he took. I don't think he changed too much. And anything he's touched in his career seemed like it was always successful in some way or another. I mean, getting real estate at the time he did, he owned so much of Santa Monica, which is, I don't even know how much that's worth now, or if he sold it all off. But it just seemed like he's got the golden touch, right? He's really blessed in that way. So
Always
hopefully that answers your
blossoming.
question.
Yes,
Always
indeed.
blossoming. Yes.
Yes, I hope we are like Mr. Arnold too. Always blossoming. What behind the scenes revelations about the entertainment industry intrigue you?
Well, now we're talking my language. I consider myself a cinephile, studying movies. I've got a few podcasts about movies. Yeah, he would tell stories that just I could listen to all day, right? Read about him all day. The fact that he had to go to lunch at the Ivy, I think, with James Cameron and really talk him into being in the movie, the Terminator, I should say,
Yes.
right? Like convincing him he was going to be the Terminator and not being the other character, Reese, the good guy, like convincing Cameron that he could be robotic in a way. Cause it was going to be like initially like OJ Simpson was considered, before OJ went down a darker path in life. And obviously this was the right decision and it changed everything. I mean, Conan was a success, but the Terminator changed everything for him and so many others to follow. So I love that story. He's got to convince him of it, and him and Cameron have a bond, and obviously they made so many great movies together. So, I really geek out on stuff like that. Like, oh, what would it have been if this person was cast or that? But just how he had the foresight to know he could nail that role and bring that intimidating force. And then let's go to T2. He could flip the script and still be that guy, but the more charming Arnold, and now he's the good guy. So that was such an interesting way to play that, not come back and sing the same notes. So there's so many stories I'd still love to know about the making
Yes.
of just those movies in particular. But yeah, stuff like that, I just absolutely love.
Mr. Arnold won any awards, Mr. Jason?
That's not Oscars. So I always
Not
look at
Oscars.
Oscars or Golden Globes. So no. Now I could look up real quick. Maybe at certain festivals he won something, but obviously it was probably hard to take him as a dramatic actor, right? So he
True.
was never in those types of roles. Not that he couldn't do it. I'm not saying he couldn't, but you do tend to get typecast when you're an action star. So it's trickier. But no, not that I know of. I know he didn't win any Oscars.
So, Mr. Jason, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and book 101 review in 5th season, comedy 101 in 2nd season, food 101 in 5th season too, geography 101 and love letters in 3rd season, and my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, movie 101 review and music 101 in its 4th season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in 1st season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Jason, which story or moment from the book left the strongest impression on you and why?
Probably him just leaving his country and giving it a shot to come over to the United States and become something. I mean, I didn't leave a country, but I left Oklahoma to move to LA. Very cliche. Move west, trying to get in the entertainment industry, more fail than succeed. And I know personally how hard it was. Now, I'd already done it. If I'd read the book before, it would have helped me had more confidence. But I admire that greatly. I mean, he couldn't speak the language. So I admire a self-made person, man or female, someone who can, man or woman, male or female, who can come here and make good on their dreams. So that's a story that never gets old. And we find such inspiration from it. And I'm sure you do as well.
Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, we salute you for being, icon in the movie industry for sure. And I think we consider to be icon too in politics for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Jason Connell, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world, and this is your applause. Thank you so much for being part on Book 101 Review. And can you please invite our listeners to support their podcast or any projects that you are doing right now?
Thank you so much, Daniel. And yes, that would be wonderful. Go to justcuriousmedia.com. Every show is on there, but we do, much like Daniel, we do Let's Talk Cobra Kai, Let's Talk Movies, That's a Crime, Good Thinking. So we have just a wide category list of shows I think you would really enjoy, and we'd love to have it.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Jason Connell, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering projects to come. So, Mr. Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Daniel, Lucas, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
More to come, people. See you soon.